Alright, let's come up with something new, something fresh, and original.
Good evening. You're watching the most trusted news source on the internet. I'm Gloria Bull, and you're watching Boom. Okay. And this is Pew. And this is Poor News.
I've got it. Godzilla, the big green monster from the deep blue ocean. Godzilla is possibly the most iconic creature of all time. With the release of the new trailer, Godzilla 2, King of Monsters, I decided to dive deeper into the known information of this movie. I'm Dan the Man, and welcome to Stew News. So Godzilla is probably my most favorite movie creature of all time. And I've watched almost every single Godzilla movie out there. I haven't watched most of like the 2000 Godzilla 2000 movies, but I've watched a lot of the older ones, like the black and white ones. I don't remember much of the original one, but I did watch that one. But yeah, I really like Godzilla. I like all like the kaiju or the monsters that are associated with like the Godzilla universe and whatnot. But definitely my most favorite franchise, I guess. I like just anything Godzilla. I just absolutely love. And yeah, so with the release of this new trailer, I wanted to look deeper, I guess, into the details of what's, I guess, known about the new movie. And as of right now, the only three monsters that we know that will be in Godzilla 2 is Rodan, King Ghidorah, and Mothra. I'll get into who they are, or what they are, I guess, exactly further on. So if you don't know who Godzilla is, let me just break it down for you. So basically, Godzilla is a mutated lizard, or a radioactive lizard, I guess. In the movie, people were testing bombs, and I guess the radioactivity leaked out to like the lizards or whatever, and they just became this gigantic thing. However, I believe in the new Godzilla universe that they have made, like the new 2014 Godzilla, he's actually like an actual god, like a beast god, I guess, if you will. I don't actually know in this if the new Godzilla is still like a radioactive lizard, but from what I've seen and heard from the movie, he's not actually a radioactive lizard. He's more of an actual god. At least that's what they describe him as.
All those nuclear bomb tests in the 50s.
They were trying to kill it. An ancient alpha predator.
Millions of years older than mankind.
Godzilla.
Atop of a primordial ecosystem. A god, for all intents and purposes.
Like, they say he's a monster, but they also say that he's a god. Like, something that has been here since ancient times. Since, like, the beginning of Earth, I guess. I don't really know exactly, but they just say that he's a god. I guess I just made that way more confusing. But that's basically who Godzilla is. So now with the release of the new trailer, I really wanted to look more into what's known about this movie because, again, I love Godzilla. I've watched so many of the Godzilla movies. I even watched the animated Godzilla TV show. It's based on the American Godzilla. That movie, I think, was released in 1999, if I'm not mistaken. The one that was basically crap. I didn't know that it was such a bad movie at the time because, again, I love Godzilla and I love that movie, but apparently it was like one of the worst Godzilla movies out there. I think. I don't know for sure. All I remember is that there was this movie called Godzilla Final Wars that I watched, and again I love. And it's kind of basically Godzilla versus every single other creature in the Godzilla world, and he basically goes around and kills all the other creatures in that movie. And he, in the movie Godzilla Final Wars, the Godzilla in that movie kills the American version of Godzilla. So they did that for a reason. The people who made Godzilla Final Wars, I think Toho, bought out the American version of Godzilla just so they could kill him off in that movie. So Yeah, now that I don't know. I still like the movie. I really do. But I can see how it's like the worst Godzilla movie ever. And that kind of ties into the 2014 Godzilla. It's made by Legendary. I love Legendary. I've seen so many of the movies that they have made, and I love them. I mean, big creatures, big monsters. I just love those kind of things. It just, to me, they're fascinating. And Legendary does a whole bunch of like creature movies, I guess. And so I really like Legendary. I like the company, or not company. I like the movies that they make, I guess. So the 2014 Godzilla, in my opinion, I liked it. It was very, very cinematic. I loved all like the cinematography, I guess. Just the atmosphere of the movie was so cool. I think one of my favorite scenes in that movie. This is spoilers, by the way. So yeah, if you haven't seen the movie, I would definitely recommend it. But I'm gonna tell you my favorite scene, I guess. So my favorite scene in the movie is when the soldiers, they're bringing a bomb to the city to basically blow up the two Mutos, and they're on the bridge, right? And off in the distance, they hear a whole bunch of explosions and stuff, and basically a big commotion going on. So the train is stopped, and I believe there's two guys that keep going, the main character and some other guy, and they're going across a bridge, and a Muto starts walking towards them and goes like right under the bridge, and the sounds, and just, it's so cool. It's just so cool. I love it so much. So that's my favorite scene in that movie. But I think the one thing I don't really like is that the screen time of the Mutos and Godzilla, there wasn't much of it. If you're going to watch a Godzilla movie, you're there to see Godzilla, and a lot of him. In that movie, you really didn't see much of him, and that's what I was kind of disappointed. You know, some of the fights between them, like the last fight, was really cool, but a Godzilla movie, especially like the older ones, it was just all about Godzilla and the other monster fighting, and I loved that. It was just so cool to just watch them duke it out. Like Godzilla Final Wars, that's all the movie was just Godzilla fighting every other creature in that movie. Like I don't even know how many. There was a lot. And he just fights him. And that's the entire movie. It's just him fighting everything. And I love that movie. So again, with the release of this new trailer, I really wanted to look at what's going to go on. As of right now, like I said before, Mothra, Rodan, King Ghidorah are the three only released monsters that we know that's going to be in there. But I was watching this video the other day where this guy was on this website where they showed locations that are based on the movie. And there are 3 released locations so far that you can click on and go into, and it shows information about the monsters in the movie. And the person in the video thought that since there was 20 locations, the other 17 are like locked until further dates, but you can't actually click on them yet. So what he's thinking is that there are going to be 20 different kaiju in that movie that Godzilla is going to fight, or at least that's going to be seen. But I don't know about that. As of right now, we know that 3 monsters are released, and on that website, I don't actually know what website that is. All I know, it's based on Monarch. Monarch is the association or thing in the new Godzilla movies and the new King Kong movie. They're the people that kind of track the big creatures around Earth, and the website is like a spoof kind of Monarch, and they kind of bring the movie to real life, I guess. And so there are 20 locations. All of them are locked except for 3, and the 3 that you can click on show information about Mothra, Rodan, and King Ghidorah. So since you can click on those 3 things, and since they're based on the movie and they show information about the monsters, the guy thinks that all the other locations are different monsters that are going to be in the movie. So I guess that's the easiest way to explain it. I kind of botched that all up, but I mean, that's me. Okay, so I've gone on this too long now, so let's just get into looking at the monsters that are going to be in the movie. I'll go one by one and kind of explain what they are if you're not familiar with them. Alright, so the first one we have is Mothra. Mothra is basically a gigantic freaking butterfly. That's all you need to know. But in the older movies, Mothra was basically the force of good, kind kind of like the actual defender of Earth. And when Godzilla started going berserk, Mothra just came up and fought him. And I believe in the movie Godzilla versus Mothra, like the really old one, Mothra actually defeated Godzilla, not actually kill him, but I think drove him back into the ocean or something like that. I don't exactly remember. It's been a long time since I watched the movies, but yeah, basically Mothra is the force of good in Godzilla. Now in this movie, I don't know. There's information right here on the website that I can read, and we'll go over it. So the website that I'm on right now is the Godzilla website. There's this little forum thing called Monarch Sciences, Amber and Crimson Information Discovered. So this is what I found, where I found like the monsters, I guess, the information about the monsters that are going to be in the movie. I watched the trailer and I love the trailer, so I already knew who was going to be in there. But this is just kind of like the information on the monsters that are in this movie. So they're probably completely different to what they were in the older movies, but I don't know. Alright, so right here on the website, it says that Mothra is the so-called queen of monsters, suggesting the creature was once a benign part of the natural order. No idea what the natural order is, but yeah. Okay, so this is basically showing where Mothra is. I guess I'll just read this. When Monarch containment crews discovered a live Titan chrysalis within the Chinese myth site, Dr. Emma Russell was quickly dispatched to closely monitor the creature that lay dormant within it. A quickening sonar pulse suggests the creature is awakening. If she ever emerges from her ancient slumber, a super species that once illuminated the sky will be reborn as Mothra. So in the trailer, there is a part where you see this giant light in the sky, and it kind of does take the form of like a big butterfly or moth, whatever. So there's actually a picture here that shows that this is actually Mothra in the trailer that illuminates the sky. It's Mothra. So right here you can see that the big light in the sky does kind of take the shape of a giant friggin' butterfly, and it's big and glowy. So yeah, that's Mothra, I guess. So here's something interesting that I found. Apparently freaking Mothra uses beta wave bioluminescence, which can be weaponized. So Mothra is gonna be fighting with freaking God rays, as it says right here. So these God rays or whatever that Mothra uses, that or Mothra is going to use, hopefully we see it in the movie, they're like light waves, I guess, or beta wave bioluminescence, which is something that she can use to fight with, I guess. And in the games, I guess, for Godzilla, you will use, if you ever play Mothra, kind of for like the atomic breath of Godzilla, Mothra uses this thing from like the antennas that looks like a big freaking rainbow. And I guess that's what this is. It's the God rays. And I think that's what we're going to see in the movie, hopefully. I don't exactly know how it's going to look like, but I would assume that since it's called God rays, it's just going to be a blinding light. And it's going to hurt the creatures in the movie. So I think that's going to be really cool to see. But yeah, I just used the games for a reference because I remember back in the... I can't remember. It was Godzilla Saves the Earth on the PS2. That game was amazing. And you have a move that you can use, which is the atomic breath that Godzilla uses. But every creature has an atomic breath move. And Mothra would use this thing where it almost kind of looked like... It looked like electricity, but it looked like a rainbow at the same time. It was... I don't know how to explain it. But I think that's kind of what the God rays are going to be. That's what she's going to use to fight with. So, yeah. Okay, so it says right here, this devastating guardian was worshipped as a goddess by ancient human civilizations blessed to witness her. So Mothra was not evil, or is evil. Mothra is not an evil creature. She, back in the old movies, I guess, was again like the protector of Earth, and was called upon to help not kill Godzilla, but to like ward him off, I guess, when Godzilla started going like berserk and destroying the towns and stuff. Okay, so that's it all for Mothra as we know right now, or at least from this website. There's probably more stuff, But I'm just using this website for right now. Alright, so next up is Rodan. Rodan is basically a gigantic pterodactyl. Now in the trailer or in this movie, they're basically trying to awaken the Titans, which is Godzilla, Mothra, Rodan, King Ghidorah, as we know so far.
The Earth unleashed a fever to fight this infection. The Titans, and unless all the Titans are found, our planet will perish, and so will we.
In the trailer, we see them awakening the Titans, and in one scene, they like blow up this site that is built on a volcano, and then afterwards, Rodan appears. So Rodan apparently comes from this volcano. Now, in the older movies, I don't know exactly where he came from. I remember watching one movie where I'm pretty sure he actually came from a volcano. Like, that's where he emerged from. And so I guess it's kind of the same in this movie. So he would be considered like the fire bird god, I guess, in this movie. Alright, so it says right here, I think what Rodan is. A volcanic internal combustion system of magma flows throughout a body covered in rock-like scales that acts as a geothermal armor. While much larger in size, Rodan has a skeletal structure similar to that of a pterodon, one of the earliest vertebrates known to have developed the power of flight, just as Kong is king of the primates. Rodan may have once been king of the skies. So in this picture, we see what Rodan kind of looks like from these like cave drawings, I guess it seems like. But I'm really excited to see exactly what it looks like. In the movie trailer, if you pause at the right time, you can see a little bit what he looks like. And from what I've seen, which is, it's still kind of blurry, but from what I've seen, he does look pretty dang cool. And I can't wait to see him like in the movie. Like to see the scale between him and like a jet. Oh, that's going to be so cool. So like Mothra, how she's kind of in a chrysalis, Rodan is inside the volcano, and the volcano is basically incubating him. So, or at least that's what it says right here. So again, he's alive, but he's dormant, not moving, still kind of sleeping. He hasn't been awakened yet until a freaking monarch comes in to awake him. Okay, this is cool. It says right here, Rodan's wingspan is big enough to create a sonic thunderclap, capable of leveling entire cities as it flies overhead. Oh, I'm sorry, but that's going to be so cool to see. In the trailer, you see a freaking shadow of Rodan go over a city, and the whole city is just being leveled. It's so cool. Oh, God, I can't wait to see this movie. It's going to be awesome. I'm really excited to see him, but not as much as I am King Ghidorah. So, King Ghidorah, if you don't know who he is a gigantic freaking golden three-headed dragon. He's probably one of the coolest designed creatures in Godzilla, in my opinion. However, I think Gigan beats him. Gigan is probably one of my most favorite creatures in Godzilla, especially the new version of Gigan. He's freaking awesome. The new version of Gigan is basically, he was created in Godzilla Final Wars, and he used to have like big like claws, but they weren't claws. They were just like a singular claw. But in the new version of Gigan, he basically has metal chainsaws on his hands. I'll show a picture, but he looks so cool. King Ghidorah in the Godzilla universe is, I think, the biggest enemy ever. King Ghidorah is in Godzilla Final Wars. He's in a whole bunch of the old Godzilla movies. He's even recreated into Mecha King Ghidorah because he gets killed by Godzilla, but then he's remade into Mecha King Ghidorah. So I'm really excited to see these four monsters in the same movie again, because again, I've watched many of the old Godzilla movies, and one of them that I really liked was I can't remember the title of it, but it was Mothra, Rodan, and Godzilla all fighting King Ghidorah. And it was so cool to see all of them just clash, you know? So to see that movie basically being remade into a cooler, I guess, version of it, it's going to be really cool to see. I guess not cooler, but newer version of it. Alright, so King Ghidorah. King Ghidorah is the least seen creature in the trailer. He's only shown a couple of times. You see him once, kind of like a silhouette of him in his like stasis, which is cemented in ice, I guess. So I don't think they want to show him off as much. I mean, all the creatures are really not seen except for Godzilla, but we already know what he looks like. But you can clearly see Mothra and Rodan. You can see the head of Mothra. You can see the whole body of Rodan. But King Ghidorah, you only see silhouettes of him. There's only one time in the trailer where you see like his eye. But it's only for like a split second. The coolest scene in the trailer is a freaking plane is flying in the sky, as you know planes do. And in the fog, it's like, or in the clouds, I guess, you see this giant silhouette of King Ghidorah, and you see the size of him. The plane, freaking this big. King Ghidorah, this big. He's freaking massive. It's so cool. I can't wait. King Ghidorah is going to be the coolest one to see, I think, in this movie. At Monarch Containment Facility, deep in the frozen tundra of Antarctica, a three-headed winged serpent of ancient yet unknown origin lies frozen within a glacial tomb of ice. This is without question the largest superspecies ever discovered, easily dwarfing Godzilla at a height of over 500 feet tall. So just for comparison, Godzilla is 355 feet tall. King Ghidorah is 500 feet tall. That's 145 feet taller than Godzilla. That doesn't even show his wingspan. That's just his height. Okay, so I don't actually know what his wingspan is, but if he's 500 feet tall, his wingspan is going to be massive. So in comparison to Godzilla, this thing is freaking huge. All right? So I would not be surprised if Godzilla, Rodan, and Mothra teamed up again in this movie to fight King Ghidorah. In the thing that I'm reading on the website, it says right here, muscle tendons on the wings are so hypertensile that their massive aerodynamics could generate hurricane force winds when in flight. Simply put, if Monster Zero were to fly again, the stratosphere would be torn open by otherworldly tempests of thunder and lightning our sky has never seen. So this thing, if it flies, everybody dies, basically. That's how powerful and massive this thing is. So King Ghidorah is again, he's massive. And when he flies, he basically emits lightning and thunder and just a storm, basically, when he flies. In the old movie, I don't remember exactly, but I don't think he does that. When he flies, he shoots lightning through his mouth when he flies. That's how basically he destroys all the cities in the movies. But when he flies, he doesn't create a storm around him. He just flies. He's like Rodan. When he flies, you know, it's a big gust of wind. It's going to destroy buildings. But he doesn't freaking create storms around him. So this, I just can't wait to see when that thing awakens and he takes off in flight, to see a giant storm just surround him when he flies. It's going to be the coolest thing in this movie, at least in my opinion. I can't wait to see it. So I guess in the Monarch database or the website, they identify him as Monster Zero, but his actual name is King Ghidorah. Monster Zero, I don't actually think he was called Monster Zero. I think he was called Monster X in Godzilla Final Wars. In Godzilla Final Wars, the last fight is between him and I believe it was called Monster X. And it was basically King Ghidorah in a more human creature form, or a more humanoid form, sorry. Where he actually had 2 legs, 2 arms, and just a really weird head. I'll try to pull up a picture if I can. And then after Godzilla basically defeats this humanoid form of King Ghidorah, he mutates into King Ghidorah. So Godzilla vs. Monster Zero is a movie, but there's another title for it called Invasion of the Astro Monster, or Invasion of Astro Monster, where King Ghidorah is from this planet called Planet X, and Godzilla and Rodan fight King Ghidorah, but he's called Monster Zero, so yeah. So that's kind of where Monster Zero comes from, I believe. So yeah. Okay, so that's all the information, at least that I know of right now, about Godzilla 2, King of Monsters. I'm really, really excited for this movie to come out. Of course, it doesn't come out until next year, but I mean, still, I can't wait. I really hope this is going to be a good movie, and I'm really excited for it. And that is everything for Stu News today. Tune in next time to see how one man's lie became Yes Man's Sky. I am Dan the Man, signing off.